What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 58. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and today I'm joined once again by Kyle, aka Who Dat Ninja 73. And for the first time, I got Kris, aka Young Top One. Kris, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me and Kyle.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So
Yeah,
happy, so many wrestling fans. Yes.
Right.
Remember,
Got
guys,
a lawn shirt on. I'm ready to go.
There you go. Yeah, it's my own show, and I was out of the loop. I didn't wear a freaking wrestling shirt. I just grabbed one this morning like an idiot. Well, if you'd like to watch this disappointment of a show, you can catch it live every first and third Saturday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/Enigma911. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. You can catch it the following week over on youtube.com. Search Enigma911 along with SoundCloud in the MP3 format. Search Enigma911 as well. We're broken out topic by topic on YouTube and put as one big full video in MP3 on each platform on the following Friday. If you'd like to also give us a topic, you can put that in the comment section down below. We might get to it one day. And then last but not least, hashtag ad merch store. You can get all of your Enigma 9011 swag at the merch store. You can get cups, you can get backpacks, you can get t-shirts, including the sweet, dope-ass new squad shirt that's finally out. So you can get that. I debuted that at Extra Life. You should go check that out and buy that and put it on your body. And then people can be like, hey, sweet shirt. Okay, enough of that. Gentlemen, we're here to talk wrestling.
You nailed that intro for me.
I did! Yes!
Well done.
Only took 58 of them. So gentlemen, we're here to talk about wrestling. And a big wrestling weekend happened 2 weekends ago? 3 weekends ago? Recently! So, that was going to be our opening topic. So we had Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver War Games that happened. So War Games was on Saturday, Survivor Series on Sunday. And it was the big, all-out brand warfare, cheesy gimmick that I loved, and it got me hooked, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But I just kind of wanted to know your guys' opinions about the events, and maybe if any matches stood out in particular. But let me start with Kris. Kris, we'll start with TakeOver. What are your overall thoughts on TakeOver War Games?
TakeOver. I mean, I feel like it had a pretty big shoes to fill in comparison to the years previous, which was a fantastic War Game, especially the men's War Games match. Mm-hmm. This one, I feel like it followed suit. There was a lot of, far more bright spots than anything that was necessarily cringeworthy. The women's match was fantastic. Yeah. I didn't know who was going to be left uninjured to participate in Survivor
Right.
Series the next day. So the men's War Games match was fantastic. I marked out hard when Kevin Owens' music hit, and that was huge. But anyhow,
Is that who you thought it was going to be, though?
Not even a little bit. Not even a little.
I thought maybe Gargano was going to come back or something, but I didn't know the extent of his injury, if it was story or not.
I was wrapped up in the hype that it would be. Oh my God, what's his name in WWE? He just got signed, Johnny Nitro.
Oh, Morrison?
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, I cool. Could have sworn it would have been John Morrison.
That's kind of where I was leaning. Something like that, a debut of somebody that we hadn't seen yet or in a while. Yeah.
Nice. Kyle, what about you? What were your
Oh yeah, takeovers for me are the highlight of whenever they're on. When it comes to pro wrestling events, takeovers feel like a really, really fantastic rock show from the best rock band in the face of the earth. So War Games, it met every expectation I had for it. The War Games match is chaotic as hell. As a non-WCW watcher when I was younger, it was. I enjoy watching it now through fresh eyes, having only seen these two, last year's and this year's. It's super cool, and I like that it's Undisputed Era's match.
Yeah,
it's their thing. And the women killed it as well. You're
they
no
really
stranger to this thought, Bret, but women wrestling right now is my jam. I think they're killing it throughout, and they're continuing to rise. And the other matches were cool too. I wasn't super into the triple threat for the number one contenders.
Okay.
But me saying I'm not super into it didn't mean it was a bad match. It's just I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Damian Priest is the name, right?
See,
which is weird to say.
I wish they would have kept him punishment.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Martinez. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that match took me by surprise. I think I enjoyed that way more than I thought it was going to. I thought that was going to be kind of but then watching, I was like, oh shit, okay, all right. So,
Yeah.
like, I enjoyed that quite a bit. I don't know if it would be my top match, but, like, it was higher than I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
So, yeah, what would you guys say is your favorite match, if you had one from that night? I mean, I know it's some tough choices there, but... Because
I'll jump in and I'll say,
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the men's War Games match,
Mhm.
and then if I can also lend the match I liked or was most, I guess, disappointed in because I expected a bit more. I think was Finn Balor and yeah,
Riddle.
yeah, bro. Yeah, I was hoping that Finn Balor would have a little bit different, more of a strong style, since he's become this new revision of himself. But anyway.
I agree with
I would
that.
agree with you on that one. That would be my disappointment. That would be the low point. I love Finn, and I just want to see Finn do Finn things. And
Yeah.
I didn't feel like he was doing Finn things. Just he was kind of like treading water, kind of doing the same thing.
Felt like more of the same. Yeah.
Yeah. My highlight would be I really enjoyed the women's match, especially with Dakota Kai turning on Tegan Knox.
Yeah. That was good.
That was super cool. I love when a wrestler who has always been a babyface just turns heel and just becomes bad, and the storyline actually pays off because they actually sowed some seeds. So like, hey, this might happen.
Yeah.
From the past couple of weeks of NXT and stuff. So yeah, and I can't wait to see that feud blow up. But that match was super cool, having Rhea, Candice, and oh god, no, that was it, right? Just
Those were
two of
only
them?
two. Then Tegan and Dakota
Yeah.
got taken out. So
Yeah, so to have those two versus the rest of the other team, especially with Shayna, like that was super cool having them back against the wall, and then for them to come up on top, that was super awesome.
Question for Kyle. First time, long time. Yeah, this question goes out to
Joe.
guest Kyle. Kyle, big fan. Listen, check your phone, or else I'll give you the old-fashioned Kansas City turnbuckle. What's a Kansas City turnbuckle, you might ask? You don't want to find out. Oh, shit. He's cutting promos on us. Bad bit. Stop.
I was
I was just my phone afterwards, Joe.
text promos. That's legit.
Hope you're doing well. So the only one I didn't watch here was the pre-show one, the Garza, Angel Garza versus Isaiah Scott.
It was actually pretty. It was decent.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the whole weekend, like, I'll say it here. I haven't fallen out, but I just don't watch things, as Kyle mentioned, pre-show, like week to week. Like, I'm very like keep up on Twitter, like, oh, Monday night, okay, oh, here's what's going on. Oh, Wednesday, oh, Friday. When I started seeing the invasion angles, like, oh, people are showing up, I was like, oh fuck. So before War Games happened, I was catching up on NXTs. So I saw the Leo Rush and Angel match, and like he is blowing up fast. And we'll probably shout him out again later, but fucking Keith Lee is like meteoric rise that weekend. Like, not that he wasn't, bad or anything, but like, whoo, they're putting that boy up there spotlight wise. So, yeah, just seeing those storylines and seeing that happen, I was amped up. Favorite match, I guess. Man, it's a tough one between the War Games match, but I think I'm gonna lean towards the ladies just based on that finish. I thought that was creative, like with the handcuff thing. I just thought, not that the men's finish was bad, but
Oh yeah, far from it.
yeah.
No, that was.
But
What happened? Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was really cool and creative because I didn't even notice the handcuffs on her at first. And then, yeah, obviously the whole theatrics of it was like, oh shit, it's happening. And then, yeah, obviously getting out of that submission from there. And then, yeah, there's just a lot of good spots in there. Obviously, Io's moonsault and, as Kyle mentioned, the whole turn and whatnot. So I think that would be my top match for that. But yeah, let's see. I don't know, like how do they keep going from here? Because like we mentioned, they had Survivor Series right after, and we'll talk about that soon. But like they got Takeover Portland coming up. Like one of these has got to be bad eventually, right? Or like something's got to go.
I think they do a good job of rotating talent in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do get some. It's not like the sameness
Right.
every takeover. Yeah, there are some returning people that are there every single time, like Johnny Wrestling, who missed this one because he was injured. But like,
Right.
The stuff feels fresh.
Mm-hmm.
There's very rarely when it comes, unless it's long-term storytelling like Gargano and Ciampa, there's very rarely rematches. I feel like there are some kind of fresh matches that make takeovers feel fresh. It's not even month to month either. It's every couple months, right? It's usually the big 4 weekends.
Yes, and then occasionally they'll have one on their own. Yeah. Like I think Portland's by itself, but I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. I think you may be right.
I just love NXT. To me, they are the top brand anywhere right now. That's what I'm most interested to watch, is what they're doing.
For sure.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, it's like they kind of took independent wrestling and added just enough of that WWE structure and created something that's really watchable week after week, even if it's the same guys fighting. Like Cassius Ohno, I can watch him wrestle anyone, and not that he stands out like, you know, in a group of WWE wrestlers, but it's everything's so crisp and technical, and if you're a fan of wrestling, it's hard not to be entertained. You know, that's kind of what I dig about NXT. I think they have just as strong women's division as the big brands. I mean, I put in my notes, Rhea Ripley, all the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I'm all about that. Keith Lee, if that man doesn't have the strap next for a year or so, I mean, I'll be sorely disappointed. And Portland's in my neck of the woods. It depending on some work stuff, I'm gonna try to get out there, and I'll keep you guys posted.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I mean, I feel like you said, Kyle, they do a really good job of not repeating themselves. The storylines aren't getting stale because it's not the same talent year in, year out. You know, they got guys coming in and going, and I think that really also, you know, adds to the secret sauce that's NXT right now. So yeah, definitely, I agree.
So going off of that point, this is kind of a random sidebar question. With NXT being this third brand officially now with the TV and obviously the Survivor Series stuff, obviously they're not going to be maybe going as much, like the move up, the call up per se. Do you think maybe a year or two down the line we'll start to see or feel that like repetitiveness? Oh boy. Repetition of feuds or matches, or like do you think it will feel stale like maybe the other products?
I think it might get to that point just because like that's inevitable for any wrestling promotion, but I think it one thing I don't want them to do, and this is going to sound counterintuitive because I love takeovers, I like that they're not every month.
Yeah.
It feels like a special event, and if they start doing it every month, it's going to be that thing where we would have Raw and SmackDown 2 pay-per-views every month, and it was so much. It was too much, and storylines weren't really played out to like full effectiveness. So
right,
yeah.
Too much of a good thing.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna disagree because I kind of feel like part of what the machine of NXT is they do a really good job of grabbing whoever's hot on the market outside of the WWE umbrella and bringing them along. I mean, that's how we got Keith Lee, Adam Cole. Yeah, I mean the majority of Asuka. You know, we can go
Kevin
on down
Owens.
the line. Kevin Owens, yeah, exactly. It's like whoever has the hot hand in the indies, they're scouting. You know, they're trying to bring them up and on the back door, you know, the back door is open as well. How many wrestlers year after year end up leaving WWE? Yeah. I mean, it was only, and you know, it's controversial as they were, I was kind of a fan of Enzo and Cass, right? And they kind of had that meteoric rise, burnt out real quick. They're gone.
Right.
And so, you know, the wheel keeps spinning. So that's kind of how I kind of see NXT. So in that way, they're able to kind of, I think, produce more fantasy matchups. And maybe that's what's so appealing is that you see a couple of guys or a couple of women that you wouldn't have seen interact really. And, you know, they come to NXT and I mean, for God's sake, we had James Storm for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
He was there, and then he was gone.
That's kind of like what you were saying, Brett, where you found out they were like invading, and that kind of like got you to get back in.
Yeah.
That's totally me. One of my favorite pay-per-views of all time is Invasion,
Mm-hmm.
with WCW versus and ECW versus WWF at the time.
Yeah.
God, that pay-per-view is awesome because I like the head-to-headness of it, and Survivor Series, it was no different.
Yeah.
I loved the triple threat Survivor Series matches.
Yeah. It was really good.
Some of the rules got thrown out of the window, but I don't care because you got to see matches like Riddle and oh my God, who did he take out? Randy Orton. Right? Did he? I think he pinned Randy Orton in that match. But just like these potential dream matchups, where like just even a stare down. Yeah. Having Sasha, Charlotte, and Rhea in the ring at the same time. Holy crap, that was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, can I speak to that for a second? Like, you know what that did for me when you saw the NXT folks in the ring with the WWE main roster? You can see pound for pound they're equivalent, you know, and that's really what it did for me. Just from a pure, visual perspective, it's because of the way that they're produced differently. In NXT, it's easy to assume that they may be undersized. A guy like Adam Cole. And then we finally get to see him, face to face with Seth Rollins. It's like, oh, okay, all right, these guys are all heavyweights. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
and so that's part of that's really cool to me. That's why I enjoyed that too.
Yeah. So we'll roll right into Survivor Series. What were our thoughts overall about Survivor Series? Kyle, I'll start with you.
It started real strong. It started strong, and full disclosure, I did not finish it all because WWE needs to fix their app, especially on PS4. It's real bad. It like freezes a lot and then won't let me back out of it, and I would have to keep restarting. It started strong. I love that they started with the women Survivor Series match, and I thought that was a great match in itself. I think it kind of went a little downhill when when it stopped being Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, and they had the title matches. I kind of wish they were all just Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. I think that would have been a little bit better. And here's a controversial thing. I love The Fiend as a character. I'm really getting tired of these matches, though, where he just gets up after all these super moves. I personally am not a fan of that. Like, his Firefly Funhouse stuff is really, really cool. The entrance is dope. The character is dope. I don't know. Him constantly getting up is getting stale already.
So this was my first time watching a match of his, and all I could think was like, why are the lights red? I don't like it.
Sin Cara.
I get it because they're trying to, like, I guess, hide the mask, maybe, like just seeing him through it, maybe, or whatever it is, or theatrics. But I was just like, ugh. I don't know.
Okay, so I think your criticisms are fair. I'm a big fan of The Fiend, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the record, my Xbox One X, the app works beautifully there. So anyway,
You just got an Xbox, yeah? Just use.
So no, anyhow, I know the red lights are annoying for sure. They're trying to overplay it's so WWE to overplay a trope, and they're doing the horror movie trope just too hard. I totally dig the persona, and I like how they're kind of playing this split personality thing. Just last night on SmackDown, now just Bray Wyatt as his Funhouse character is now feuding with The Miz, and so you have one guy that's able to have two ongoing feuds at once. One, as the Fiend with Daniel Bryan, and as just plain old Bray, Mr. Rogers Bray, with The Miz.
Does Bray come out with the title?
Yeah,
he had the blue one.
He
Yeah.
does. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and because the Fiend now has his mask belt. Have you seen the custom?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So now, I mean, it's almost like, labor wise, speaking as a manager, that's genius. Getting two characters for the price of one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I really dig what the Fiend's doing. As far as him being too resilient, I can kind of see how that. I mean, at what point, who's the person that's going to take him down?
Absolutely, yeah.
Unless it's Brock Lesnar, which
I
also have in my notes here. LOL, Lesnar wins. But anyhow, that's my on the Fiend.
Yeah, and go like I went to the Raw either before Survivor Series or 2 weeks before, and he wrestled in the dark match against Seth in a cage match. And the Fiend is a freaking rock star when it comes to younger kids, and it's creeping me out because they're like, "Let me in!" Oh my god, they rush the barricade, and like the security guy's like, "Whoa, back up!" Like there were like 100 people up against the barricade just to see him, and they still did the red lights even though it was a dark match. So, and it was he is a bigger than life persona, which is what you want from a wrestler.
True.
And it's super cool. But that match, that dark match, lasted 2.5 minutes, and it was all the Fiend just destroying Seth, and that was it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That entrance, it is.
So good. The funniest part is though, when you don't when you're watching him on TV and they like cut away to highlights and stuff, you see Bray as the Fiend race up to the front of the stage to be ready for the next shot. So like he's walking super slow, like he's the Fiend, and then he goes on a full sprint to get to his spot, and it's the funniest thing to me.
Production.
Yeah.
So I guess Survivor Series, right? My take.
Yeah.
The cross-brand tag team battle royale. I'm really bummed that Rude and Ziggler won that. The mid card of evil there. They don't need wins. I mean, Rude is Rude. You know, Ziggler is technically probably one of the best wrestlers on TV. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity to feature the Street Profits.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love the Street Profits.
So do I.
Aside from that, again, Rhea Ripley, all the things. That 5-on-5-on-5 women's match was incredibly entertaining, and everything was, for being so much chaos, they individually featured so many neat matchups that it kept me into it.
Everyone got their moments to shine.
Yeah. Overall, it was a good pay-per-view, I think. You know, we've had some duds, and that one, it was match to match. I was actually like, I'm not gonna get up and go to the bathroom yet. Let's wait a minute.
Shout out to the Rude Shinsuke AJ match. That match.
Yes, sir. That was gonna speak on that next. Like I am a AJ Styles fan. I've been an AJ Styles fan since I seen him debut on WCW as a child, and watched a lot of his Impact stuff. But I liked the heel heat that Strong got for sneaking that win. That was so Undisputed Era, and I love Undisputed Era. I think the Fiend right now, in terms of their storytelling and how now he's kind of backtracking and going through his hit list of people that had wronged him as his previous iteration, I feel like right now it's probably the best long-term booking they've had in so long. So I'm rooting for him as a character, most definitely. Though, to your point, it does get stale when you watch him just be impervious to harm. I feel like they did a little bit better job of it with the Daniel Bryan match.
Oh, it's way better than what it was with Rollins.
He was just eating all of the finishers and just looking at him like, and so yeah, this time it was a bit different. He actually showed some vulnerability, which was good for the character, anyways. I didn't know what anyone was going to do with Keith Lee. When he came in, I wasn't necessarily familiar with him beforehand, other than I watch Wrestle Talk TV on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Wrestle Talk.
I'm not, no.
They do like a recap of the shows, and they have their favorites. They're UK based, and they were super hot on Keith Lee. So when he was going through the indies, I started kind of catching wind of Keith Lee, and he ends up on NXT, and I was like, okay, cool. It's another Big E kind of character. And he did so much between TakeOver and Survivor Series to establish himself as his own thing. He carved out his niche, and so I mean he was looking fantastic.
Yeah.
They put him face up with Roman Reigns. That was a believable matchup.
Yeah.
That was a believable matchup, and I really
even
liked
him
it.
being the one to stop Braun's run around the ring.
Yeah.
Like, that was super cool too. And like as a big guy, I love them showcasing big guys that can move fast and are agile as hell.
Right? Absolutely.
That's why I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan. Kevin Owens is my man. So like I love when they highlight these guys and they're not just like, oh, they're big guys, they move slow and they whatever. They actually give them a chance to do what they want to do and what they can do,
Right.
which is awesome.
KO crushes the WWE stereotype. Like
Absolutely.
or archetype or whatever that word is. But to kind of finish up as far as Takeover or Survivor Series, the 3-way women's match was good in spots.
Mhm.
And then some of the pacing was kind of bad, but I dig I like the Becky versus Shayna Baszler feud potential, because the last time that the man looked like the man was when she beat Ronda Rousey, and Baszler is kind of a similar character, and I feel like that's the move. That's the move. That's got to be the next big feud. Otherwise, it gets back to that repetitive booking kind of thing again, and it's gonna be her versus Charlotte until the end of time.
I don't know how you guys feel about Becky as the man character, but like, she is so much better when she's chasing it. Like, she's good as champ, but I feel like the chase of getting that belt is better as the man.
Oh, so do they find like a neat way to screw her out of it, and then it's like that uphill? Then she becomes like Stone Cold, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We need fantasy booking. We need to do that.
Yeah, right now she's in like this weird gray area for me. Because I agree, Kyle. The rise was great. I can kind of like attribute it to, or like a comparison. You guys use Stone Cold, but maybe like a Rey Mysterio in a way too. Like the underdog, like you're not supposed to do well, and then obviously whoosh, get up there. But like, I understand the finish where like she's upset and she smashes Shayna through the table and whatnot. But like, I'm very confused as well. Is she supposed to be a good guy or is she supposed to be a bad guy? Face, heel, like. I don't know. Well, Kyle didn't get to that point, but they censored one part because she said "fuck." She's like, "This is my fucking house." Yeah, and I was like, "Where are we going here?" Are we just amped up? Like, I don't know.
Also, really quick to look about. I don't know if either of you caught this during the women's Survivor Series match. Natalia just kept calling everyone a bitch.
Yeah.
The whole time, every time she's in the ring, she's like, "Shut up, bitch."
Yeah.
I'm the bitch here. Like, whoa,
we can
Natty,
say things now.
out.
Let's go.
It's a pay-per-view, right? Yeah. I did not catch that, but now I think I may rewatch it just for the laughs.
But so yeah, right now, like, I love Becky. I'm just really confused as what direction I guess she's going. So yeah, I don't know. I agree. The underdog may be better.
Right, yeah, I think that's a good angle to have her. But I think I look at her right now kind of as a tweener, kind of like that KO kind of character where she does bad things, but you still root for her.
Fair enough.
And that's kind of a popular trope that they work, that WWE specifically, like they like those. I want to call them like a gray Jedi kind of thing.
There you go.
My metaphors here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm fine with that. I think for me personally, it's just like losing connection with that. It's like, I don't know if I'm still on this train. But then again, I was a fan of her when she was, doing the whole steampunk thing and that, and I was like, I'm fine with this. Let's go. So,
regardless of the character she plays, I'm a fan of Becky Lynch.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of like all the 4 horsewomen, minus Charlotte as much as the other 3. But like, no matter what they do, like, I'm in for the ride, whether they're champ or not. Like, I just want to watch them do their thing.
Yeah.
Are you hopeful for the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen thing?
Hell
that they keep teasing?
I am. Hell yeah, I am. They tease it so much at Royal Rumble, like with Sasha in Ronda's face, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I am, but I don't give 2 shits about Jessamine Duke and whatever her face is. So I'm like, nah. Something with an A, M, I don't know. Blech. I just want it to happen so the OG can just whoop the asses of the we're the 4 horsewomen thing. Like, no, and fuck you.
Honestly, like, I saw highlights of Ronda wrestling and I was like, I kind of miss Ronda being around.
I miss it a little bit.
Honestly,
it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. Yeah.
Let's see. What else was there? I think I agree with all your guys' points, match-wise. I mean, I don't need to get into Brock. Brock's fucking Brock. Kyle and I talked about that extensively last time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, we mentioned like everybody getting their spots in the 5-on-5s. The Shorty G and Matt Riddle thing, I personally loved. I was like, oh fuck, this is on. I wish they bro fisted after that break. I just wanted him to go out like, come on, do it. But no.
I refuse to call him Shorty G. It's Chad Gable.
I agree. I mean, yes, yeah.
As a little guy, let me tell you how offended I am. This is it's not okay.
Yeah, but I'm with you.
Calling us out.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
The chain wrestling and
Yep.
God, it was so good. That was like a dream matchup type thing.
Mhm.
I'd love to see them get a full 15 minutes. And see what they would do.
So yeah, all those.
I guess Matt Riddle's pretty versatile in that sense, right? Like I can see him going against a guy like Chad Gable, and then I can also see him going up against a Goldberg or
give me that
Lesnar.
Goldberg match.
Dude, yeah, I want to see it.
So yeah, always like seeing those pair ups, regardless of men and women, was cool. Let's see. Okay, I'll make a note. This was something my dad pointed out to me like afterwards after he watched it. He was just like, you can tell the difference in product of like the NXT show and the WWE show, even when it's two NXT guys together. Like Cole and Dunn felt so different than anything like on any other NXT match would. Like I thought it was still good, but like it felt totally different with it. So that would be my only note for that.
The ending to that match was super cool too. When he countered the I'm blanking on the Pete's finisher name.
Oh crap!
You talking about that move on the apron?
No, the one the bitter end. When he went for the bitter end, and then he turned it into a Panama Sunrise.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Oh my God, that was so cool.
Yeah,
that was good. Yeah, Pete Dunne exclusively is the only matches you'll ever see that finger wrestling.
Yeah.
Fine digit manipulation thing that he does. And it, in NXT it translates well, but I don't know in the pay-per-view like that where you got guys making such dynamic moves. The whole I'm twisting your finger.
Well, I was grateful enough to see him and Walter at Takeover in New York this year. Talk about a match that drained me of all my energy. That match was so intense, just hard hitting wise. Like Pete trying to break Walter's fingers, Walter chopping the shit out of him. Yeah. Like it was, oh my God. I felt it where I was sitting. That's how hard it was hitting Pete. Those two, I could watch them wrestle all day
long. So yeah, seems like we all liked it. Like I said, this was the first. Well, it was the first pay-per-view I actually watched, like, when it happened in a long time, or in a while, and I'm glad I did. And like I said, it might have been because it was the stupid angle of let's invade everybody else and have everybody show up everywhere, but like you guys also said, it's that fantasy match aspect of it that was just like, I think that's what made it really special, in a way. And, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's boosted NXT, not that it really, well, in our eyes, not that it really needed it, but obviously still the general wrestling fans, some of them are still like, oh, what's this thing? It's the developmentals or whatever preconceived notions they might have.
I love during the men's match where all the chants were strictly like NXT based.
Yep.
Like Keith Lee with the "Oh Basket My Glory" chant. Like it was so strictly where you could tell where the crowd was leaning. Yeah. And I loved it. It felt like a takeover in that sense.
Yeah. And I'm glad they gave like NXT like that big push, obviously with the win overall point wise. Like that was great. Like cause they easily could have WWE'd it and just been like, oh, and then just buried them back down. Like, oh no, Raw's better, SmackDown's better, or whatever. But
which was kind of what I expected.
I was so scared to just be like, oh no, this is gonna go bad. We have all this momentum going up of obviously NXT guys attacking, and then
Do you think this will make us get like more NXT in main pay-per-views going forward? Like when Royal Rumble comes around, is it going to be like 10, 10, and 10 in the Royal Rumble from every brand?
In the couple of past years of Royal Rumble, there is an NXT presence, like a good percentage
Last year was
of,
a big one, yeah.
They got to find a way to get 30 guys in there.
Yeah.
Despite all the other matches happening. So, I think last year we had Adam Cole and
Johnny.
Yeah. And so like I think that'll be a thing. I think now that NXT, which I mean, I guess segues into our next topic, but they are definitely trying to push NXT as a brand with a purpose.
Yeah.
And so I think in Royal Rumbles to come, that could be a focus. I certainly hope so. But logically, like speaking from a business sense, if you're trying to, launch a brand that to the mainstream, and that's going against a really well marketed AEW, then you wouldn't have a choice, right? But to give them some presence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
I agree. I think you have to. I think it would be the big four, and I think it should only be that way. Like you mentioned with takeovers being every month, it loses that steam and it doesn't really mean anything. I think if you do the big four, it'd be the same. And then, as long as you don't treat it like you treated ECW relaunch in 06 or whatever it is, where it was like, we have one match, and do we care? I think you'll be on the right track. So, maybe, obviously, Rumble, like Kris said, I totally agree with that. They've had their people in there, so you have that. Whether it's a bigger presence or even just still there are a couple of the surprise guys, I'd be fine with that. And then Mania, I'd say, I don't know if you put all the titles on the line, but maybe 2 matches, maybe 3 matches. You have that. Like, even if, like, maybe they do Money in the Bank, maybe they do, like, 8 again, and maybe 2 are NXT guys or whatever. Or 3.
Oh,
so,
right. No, that's a really interesting prospect, an NXT guy going for the Money in the Bank. That like teases that crossover potential. I dig that.
Speaking of, get rid of that pay-per-view, bring it back to Mania. It was supposed to be at Mania. Just keep it there.
Absolutely.